Merkaz HaTorah of Bell Harbor was founded for the purpose of developing true B'nai Torah, true Yirei Shamayim, B'nai Torah who through them will be Niskadesh L'Shem Shamayim.
Avoid the size of the Atlantic Ocean. The world is not the same.
Every action and every word was with a cheshbon.
I always pictured that the yeshiva would be by my chasana, and to dance with him in the middle, it's always very special. It was a mamish dance with all his strength.
I felt the yeshiva was very close to me because he understood me so well.
I felt like the yeshiva was my father, like a second father to me.
He was in total concentration. There was nothing else going on besides the learning. One of the main things that he was nischazik from Baron, from his Rebbe, was that after a whole week of collecting money in New York, and then he used to come back to Lakewood, Ulfamatet, how he used to run into the yeshiva with a geschmack, with a grin, and he has to open up the sefer as if that kihem chayenim v'ech yameinu. And from there, the yeshiva saw the gewaldige Avos HaTorah, and that's what made Mamish such a gewaldige Roshim on him and instilled in him the Avos HaTorah.
To speak to the yeshiva and learning it was always a tremendous pachad. You definitely wouldn't just go over to the yeshiva and say a point that you were wishy-washy on, because the yeshiva was a lion when it came to learning. He was Mamish totally glad.
We could listen to shir for an hour and not chap that we were in shir, because he was so enjoyable, so sweet. He broke it down into such digestible pieces.
How he used to get so orangutan, so involved in the sugya, so animated during the shir, that was something that made a major impression on the Bachram.
I don't know how many times that I would, let's say, go over to him to tell him a good piece of news, a B'surah Toiva about a certain Talmud, and his simcha was like, you see somebody at his own simcha, and Chalil Fakert, if you had to tell him bad news or somebody was struggling, whether it was someone looking for a job, he would go, so what can we do, what can we do, how can we help them?
It made me feel very good, and he was like a father to a son to me. And he mamish walked with me in every step of my life. I felt so close with him. He understood me like.
Just the way that he treated each bacher, he treated each person, that you're the only one there. That's how his bin adam machaver, the way he just approached every person was just that type of feeling that he gave up to everybody.
And I finally reached the years of Beis Medrash after high school. So I told myself, it's time to buckle down and get serious a little bit. And the yeshiva saw me, we were learning a little Tosfos. And the yeshiva came over, and I was very nervous because I had never talked to him in learning before, and I was just very nervous talking to him. And I saw him approaching, and I was like getting more nervous. And then he came over, and he's like, "Eli, you did the Tosfos?" So I was like, "Yeah, I did the Tosfos." So he's like, "No, what's the kasha of Tosfos?" I was so nervous. And finally, when I said the kasha, he gave such a smile that it made me feel like $1 million.
Shiva was most nefesh for the Bachram, and he loved them unconditionally. He would do whatever it takes to make the Bachram matzliach and to build them up and to really make sure that each one grows in his abilities.
Masoya matana b'amuna, dibur b'nachas emabriyos, edelkeit, feinkeit. This is what's niskabel, and this is how the Shem Shemaim is niskadesh, and this is the purpose of the yeshiva, to develop an Torah and be Makadosh Shem Shamayim.
I used to say that you could sit and learn a Seder, a 3-4 hour Seder, straight Basmada. I said, I'll be very impressed, but people in the street aren't going to be impressed by that.
What does impress people is coming into the Beis HaMedrash and handing somebody a siddur or giving him a chair to sit on.
They see a bacher, they see he's on Haga, and he's behaving with their Eretz, that's what they're impressed about.
Those were the times we saw the Yeshiva cry, the last day of the Zman. The Yeshiva would speak about how being a Zman and the bacher has to act with their Eretz and speak nicely, and he would actually break down crying from that. That made a tremendous ration. I went to Seed with a few bachrim to Indianapolis, and when we came back, one of the Balabatim there sent the letter to the Rosh Yeshiva. And, you know, like a very nice letter about how they enjoyed us, and the Yeshiva was mamash on cloud nine. He called us up. We never saw him so happy before. He said, "This is what we're here for. This is it." Like, he was faxing it to all the parents. He was so excited. This was to him what he was trying to give over.
There's a 12th grade shiur that after their graduation, so they planned a trip. They wanted to go, I think it was to Niagara Falls. And their Shiva got wind of it, and he called them up to his office. And when they heard that their Shiva wanted to speak to them, so they discussed it amongst themselves. They decided that 90% they're probably going to go anyway. Depends how strong he comes out, but 90% they want to go. And he called up two of the bachrim, and they went to the office, and they spoke to him, and they came out and they said, "We're not going." So they said, the other bachrim said, "What happened? I thought we were going." So they said, the Yeshiva called us in. We sat down across from him, his desk, and he just started crying. Tears were rolling down his cheeks. And that was so powerful that they came out and they said, "We're not going." And that was the way that he related to bachrim. There were times when he came out strong, and there were times when he didn't come out strong. He knew each bacher what they needed and how to reach them in the best way.
Shmuel Zev, he's definitely one of a kind.
He's been mirroring his father's ways with the same devotion.
He's following in the footsteps of his father, the Shiva Zatzal.
First day of the Bachrim could still see someone sitting there with Amelis at the Gemara, and the same care and love towards each and every Talmud that the Shiva Rav Levi had. The Bachrim are taking to him, you know, the same way that they were taking to the Shiva Zichron Levracha, the Shiurim and the Chazar to share at night and having shaykhs with him.
I'd like to give a bracha to the Chashva Olam, to everybody that was Moshe Nefesh, to give up the night, the man Kvar HaTorah, and to give cover to the Rosh Yeshiva Zechat Tzaddik Levracha, who was Moshe Nefesh for Torah his whole life, and for the Yeshiva, which he held so dear to him. The Yeshiva would always say, Baruch Hashem Yokem Estivei HaTorah Azois, that the main bracha is written in the Torah already. If somebody supports the Torah, he gets all the brichas HaTorah. I'd like to venture on that everybody should have Ma'odik Hatzlacha and Siyata D'Shmaya in all of their endeavors, and should have Ma'odik and Nachas from all the children and the Einoklach and the Mishpachas, and everybody should have Ma'odik and Siyata D'Shmaya in just whatever they do.